as a woman, you're always going to have to be a bit more careful about the stressors that you're exposing yourself to and the intensity and duration of these stressors. The female biology doesn't do as well with these as male biology. Male biology also reacts to stressors, of course. Stress is no good for guys either in excess, but that level of excess, on average, that point where it becomes too much is at a higher level generally for men than it is for women. And this is a pure consequence of evolutionary biology. And so whether it's something like intermittent fasting or how intensely you're training, overtraining is a thing that negatively impacts the endocrine health of lots of women, or something like keto. You don't want to push it as hard as a woman. And this, I think, doesn't get enough attention because a lot of the research, almost all of the research on the benefits of things like intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet and many other things are all done on men exclusively. Why is it done on men exclusively? It's because for the researchers, it's easier because of the more simple male hormone system. It's easier to isolate causes and line up cause and effect and understand what's causing what, because men are not changing so much over the course of a month in terms of how hormones could influence something like body weight, for example. And so influence body weight, influence psychology, so many factors. Women have shifts happening over the course of a month that you're just not going to get with the guys. So for simplicity and for ease, these studies are done just on men. I don't want to say that that's the right thing. It's done for that particular reason, but this harms then, of course, a lot of women, because you hear the general conclusions made based on this research, but then nobody bothers, or some people do. This is talked about by some people, but generally, most people who will espouse the benefits of a ketogenic diet, or who will espouse the benefits of intermittent fasting or long-term fasting, they don't bother to say when they're quoting the research. They don't bother to underline the fact that, all of this research was done on men, and nobody looked at how this actually affects women and how that might actually be substantially different. So what it comes down to, from my perspective, is that for a woman looking at doing some of this kind of stuff, you just don't push as hard. You don't train quite to the extremes that some male athletes might train. Then if you're doing intermittent fasting, you don't do it for 16 or 18 hours. You do it maybe 12 hours, maybe push up to 14, but 12 is still really great. Then to your question about keto, you want to incorporate carb refeeds so that it doesn't become too much of a stressor on your system. And this could be done by having a little bit more carbs than one traditionally would in a hardcore keto program, and doing this in the evenings. You could also do this in the form of once a week or so, having substantially more carbs on that one day. And then keep in mind that the keto diet for you may be great short term, medium term. It really depends on the individual and what the health goals are and what you're after. Maybe you're doing keto because you want to lose a bit of weight. Okay, that's cool. Do it to lose the weight and then maybe shift a little bit. Maybe you're doing keto because you're dealing with something like candida that really likes to feed on sugars. So you got to really cut the sugars back for a while. Okay, do that. Maybe that takes somewhere between 3 months and 2 years, but that doesn't mean you have to stay on that program forever and ever. And you can certainly watch, for example, we have videos on candida and all the best things to do there that hopefully will help you speed up that process a little bit. That maybe you're doing it because you have something like Lyme disease, in which case you may have to try to find the right balance to do it long term, because Lyme to completely eradicate can be difficult. But it depends on what you're doing it for, and then you can build a strategy and a map of here's how long it generally takes to deal with this. Here's how I'm gonna moderate it and not push too hard, because okay, maybe you do keto to lose some weight, or you maybe do it for something else, but then what if that ends up having then a negative impact on your hormones? And that, you know, hormones are so powerful, you don't want to end up having a huge negative ripple effect on so many other areas of your health. So done short to medium term and done in moderation with intermittent carb refeeds, I think it can be very safe. Now certainly there are some women out there who have been doing keto long term and do very well with it. Awesome, I'm stoked for them. There are also a lot of women who have experienced the negative hormonal impacts of doing it. So everybody is a little bit different. Certain things work better for certain people, and there's a myriad of factors, genetic, epigenetic, and otherwise, that can be involved there. So it's never possible to say exactly how a certain person is going to react to something. But another, you know, just one more factor I want to mention as well is that a lot of women who do really well on keto are women who are postmenopausal. So they're not dealing with the same kind of hormonal setup as a woman who's still having her cycle and going through those monthly hormonal fluctuations. So keto, and of course, like, it should be obvious, I think, but just in case, let me specify and make very clear, I'm talking about doing it in an ultra clean way. There's obviously substandard, very non-healthy and non-interesting to me ways of doing keto that are seen here and there, but that's of course not what we're talking about here. Okay, so that's my perspective on women with keto. If you're a woman and you've gone through the keto experience, I'm curious what your experience has been. Go leave a comment down below. If it's been positive, awesome. If it has had maybe some negative impacts, I'm curious to know what that was and how you came to connect the dots and realize, okay, maybe I need to adjust this a little bit. And how did you adjust it? And how's that working out for you now? I'm genuinely always curious to learn what other people's experiences has been. So do please go ahead and leave a comment down below. And if you found this video interesting in any way, or even if you haven't and you just feel like spreading some good vibes in the world, go leave a like down below, hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to keep, you know, journeying on this massive health adventure with us, and learning more about adaptogens and chocolate and all these incredible ways to take your health to the next level. Thanks again so much for joining me today, guys. Hope you all have a beautiful day and look forward to seeing you again soon.